Today, we're digging into the story of the deepest hole on Earth. Now, it's an incredible tale of Cold War ambition and amazing scientific discovery, but it all starts with a terrifying legend, a story that Soviet scientists didn't just break new ground, they actually broke through the gates of hell itself.
And it all kicks off with this chilling quote, supposedly from the project leader, a Dr. Azakov. This one statement launched one of the internet's most famous urban legends, setting the stage for a story that honestly would capture people's imaginations for decades to come.
So here's how the story goes. Sometime in the 1980s, a team of Soviet scientists are drilling deep into the Siberian crust. Suddenly, 9 miles down, their drill bit just breaks through into a huge, empty cavern. The drill starts spinning like crazy, which means they'd hit, well, nothing at all. So to figure out what was down in this bizarre void, they lowered a specially designed heat-resistant microphone. But instead of hearing, geology, they supposedly recorded something absolutely horrifying. The screams of what sounded like millions of people in pure torment. The story says the audio was so disturbing that a bunch of the staff quit right there on the spot, totally convinced they had opened a gateway to the underworld. And if the sounds weren't enough for you, the story's grand finale is a full-on supernatural event. A plume of fire supposedly erupts from the borehole, twisting into the shape of a giant winged demon before vanishing into the night sky. I mean, it's a terrifying story, right? And it spread like wildfire thanks to religious broadcasters and the early internet of the late 80s and 90s. But like all really good legends, this one completely falls apart once you start looking at the details. The Well to Hell is an amazing piece of fiction, but the reality behind it, honestly, it's even more fascinating. So let's unravel this thing. Okay, so let's just lay the hoax bare, point by point. First off, the drilling wasn't even in Siberia. It was way over on the Kola Peninsula, right near the border with Norway. And the temperature? It was incredibly hot, for sure, but it was 180 degrees Celsius, not a hellish 1100. And of course, they found scientific data, not a cavern full of lost souls. So what about those famous screams? Well, turns out the audio wasn't from deep inside the earth, but deep inside the archives of B-movie horror. Yeah. Experts are pretty sure the recording is just a cleverly remixed sound effect from a 1972 Italian horror flick called Barren Blood. Then the whole story got a huge boost from the Trinity Broadcasting Network in the US. And as for our lead scientist, Dr. Azakov, he never existed. All right, so with the myth totally busted, let's get into the real story of the Kola Superdeep Borehole. And trust me, this story is even more incredible. Not a tale of demons, but one of intense Cold War competition and just jaw-dropping human ambition. See, this was never about finding hell. It was all about beating the Americans. After the U.S. launched its own deep drilling project called Project Mohole, the Soviets fired back with their own effort in 1970. The goal was simple: drill as deep as humanly possible into the Earth's crust and unlock the secrets of our own planet. And they kept at it for more than 20 years. And the depth they reached is just staggering: 12,262 meters. That's 7.6 miles straight down. And to put that into perspective, this hole that goes miles into the Earth is only about 9 inches wide at the bottom. To this day, it is still the deepest artificial point on the entire planet. Think about it. The Mariana Trench is about 11 kilometers deep. The Kola borehole is over a kilometer deeper than that. It's just incredible. Now, the real discoveries they made down there were way more profound and scientifically important than any scary story. What they actually found completely changed our understanding of the planet we all live on. Well, instead of demons and the damned, they found a world that was hotter, wetter, and more biologically active than anyone had ever dreamed possible. They found surprises that literally rewrote geology textbooks. One of the biggest shocks was finding liquid water, and lots of it, at depths where scientists thought it was completely impossible. The theory is that this water was literally squeezed out of rock crystals by the immense pressures down there, and it had been trapped for billions of years. It completely changed the idea that the Earth's crust was dense and dry. And here's a great example of how actually going somewhere can shatter our best guesses. Geologists had this theory, based on seismic waves, that at a certain depth, granite rock should turn into denser basalt rock. But the Kola drill went right past that supposed boundary, and nothing happened. The change wasn't there. It just proved you can't guess what's down there. You actually have to go and look. But the most incredible discovery of all was much, much older. We're talking 2 billion years old. Get this, nearly 7 kilometers or 4.4 miles down, they found microscopic fossils of 24 different species of ancient single-celled plankton. These tiny life forms were encased in organic compounds that somehow protected them from the unimaginable heat and pressure for eons. It was direct evidence of ancient life perfectly preserved miles below our feet. So, you're probably wondering, if they were making all these amazing discoveries, why on earth did they stop drilling? Well, the simple answer is that our planet fought back, with forces that even the best Soviet engineering just couldn't handle. The first huge problem was the heat. Their models predicted it would be about 100 degrees Celsius down at their target depth, but the actual temperature was 180 degrees Celsius. That's almost twice as hot. That extreme heat was just cooking their drilling equipment and pushing it way past its limits. And it wasn't just the heat. That combination of insane temperature and immense pressure did something really weird to the rock itself. It stopped acting like a solid. It became more like a super dense, super hot plastic. Now, how do you drill a hole through something that's behaving like flowing clay? It became almost impossible. So you can see it was just an insurmountable challenge. You have the extreme heat, this weird plastic-like rock, and that meant their equipment was constantly breaking or getting stuck. And then came the final nail in the coffin, the fall of the Soviet Union in 1991. Just like that, the funding dried up and the political will to keep this massive project going, it just vanished. By 1992, the drilling stopped for good.
The entire facility was officially shut down in 2005, and the site just fell into ruin. Today, the deepest hole in the world is sealed under a tiny welded metal cap. That's it. A small monument to one of humanity's greatest engineering feats, now just rusting away in the Arctic wilderness.
And that really leaves us with a final, pretty mind-blowing thought. For all that ambition and all that work, the Kola Superdeep Borehole only made it through about 1/3 of the Earth's crust. It's a minuscule 0.2% of the total distance to the center of our planet. The journey into our own world has barely even begun. It just makes you wonder, what else is waiting for us down in the deep?